Hey guys, today I'm going to be going over some fishing tactics that I like, and today's is going to be jig fishing. So first I'm going to start off with my rod and my reel and my line. So right here I have a 7-foot 2-inch heavy rod. It is made by 13 Fishing. Not sure what kind it is, like what it's called. But this is a 7-to-1 gear ratio, also made by 13 Fishing. I like that high gear ratio so I can crank those fish in good. That line I have paired with that is 30-pound braid, Berkeley braid. I pretty much always use Berkeley braid, and 20-pound fluorocarbon Berkeley line. Paired up with that, the jig I have, favorite jig of all time. It's just a Green Pumpkin Strike King football jig paired up with a crawl rage tail right there. I don't trim the skirt, don't trim the crawl, because most of the time I'm targeting those bigger fish. When I'm targeting bigger fish, I don't like to trim the skirt. So I'm going to go over a few jigs. So another one that I really like is a swim jig. This right here is the Hack Attack white swim jig, made by Strike King, I believe. This one right here is the one I've mostly caught my fish on, just a little Strike King swim jig right there with a little Strike King Green Pumpkin 4-inch menace on the back. I like a menace to pretty much throw on pretty much all my jigs, pretty much. And I like Strike King, that's my favorite brand of anything. Right here I have a flat top jig. This is something I like to throw when this is a 3/8 ounce bait, so I like to throw this when I'm fishing sand or fishing on like boat ramps. Stands up good like that, hop it, and it'll stand up just like that. It's a flat top. Just like that, I've got it paired up with a Strike King Green Pumpkin Menace. Then my favorite jig, of course, I've already showed you, is just a big football jig. This one's real big and bulky. I don't think I've ever used that one, but it's a pretty big football jig. That looks like it'd catch a big fish. Here we have a structure jig. Now, a lot of times I get the question, is a structure jig and a flipping jig the same thing? No. And I'll show you the difference between them. So I've got two different structure jigs right there. And you can see on this Green Pumpkin one how it's more of a point, like a triangular point. Well, let's find a flipping jig. Here's one right here. And on the flipping jig, it has a pointed head, but it's more of a rounded pointed head. This one has a rattle. Got that paired with a Strike King Green Pumpkin Crawl. Strike King, as I've probably said, favorite all time. Right here I've got a Strike King Bitsy Bug structure jig. This jig is really good for when I'm flipping docks that are really, really shallow. I'm talking like 2 feet. Instead of flipping it with a bigger jig, a lot of times I'll flip a dock with these. So even those smaller fish that can't get their mouth around something like this big, bulky structure jig, or something like a big, bulky football jig, such as this one right here, you think a little fish is going to be able to eat that? Probably not. So I'll throw this. I would like to pair that up with a Strike King Crawl. And that's what a lot of times what I'll get my bites on. Even when it's a small fish. I've caught some pretty big fish on this. But mostly I like fishing these around docks. Sometimes I'll throw them offshore. Depending, like I'll throw them on offshore brush piles. Stuff like that. But how to fish a jig. We'll get into that. So swim jig. Obviously, swim. You're going to want to swim it. You can pop it with your rod tip. I use a trailer on all my jigs. On these, I either like to use a menace or some kind of paddle tail. Like, right here, I've got a random chatterbait sitting here. I like to use a little paddle tail. In this case, I'd use a white paddle tail. You just swim that. With the flat top jig, I think I already said this, but I'll hop it. Just hop it. Now, a lot of people say they like to drag their jigs. I can understand that, but me, I like to hop any of my jigs, pretty much except a swim jig. Swim jig, I'll swim that. Pretty much any of my other jigs, like football jig, I'm gonna hop off the bottom. Sometimes I'll drag them. Offshore, I like to drag them. When I'm fishing docks, throw it in there. Let it sink on a slack line. And I'll just hop it, make it look like a crawfish. These swim jigs, they mimic anything from a bluegill to a heron, depending on what color you're fishing and where you're fishing. Pretty much any other jig mimics bluegill, crawfish, a bug on the bottom, anything a bass would want to eat. But they come in all different shapes. I guess the heads come in different shapes, sizes and colors, weights. I like to range from, I know I have it, this flat top jig is a 3/16 ounce, I mean a 3/8 ounce. That's a little lighter than a ½ ounce, but I like to stick in that ½ ounce to a 1 ounce weight range. That's a 1 ounce football jig right there. I've never caught a fish on this. Usually those bigger ones like a 1 ounce are the ones, a 1 ounce to a 1½ ounce. I don't have many of those, but this is 1 ounce. I like to throw that offshore. Try to get those bigger bites. If I'm fishing something green pumpkin, like a green pumpkin jig, I'm going to pair that up with a green pumpkin crawl. Black and blue jig right there. That's a little black and blue flipping jig. Pair that up with a little black and blue crawl. And I'll just pair that up like white, throw a white paddle tail or white crawl on the, and a lot of times I'll have these white, yellow, anytime it has white on it. If it's mostly white, I'm going to throw white. If it's mostly green pumpkin, I'm going to throw green pumpkin. If it's mostly black and blue, I'm going to throw black and blue as a trailer. So these are the way I fish jigs. These are, there's other types of jigs. There's finesse jigs. I don't have any of those. Also have a casting jig right there that I didn't mention. Never caught a fish on that. That's also one I forgot to mention that I like to throw offshore. It actually doesn't have a trailer on it. That is a ½ ounce and a pumpkin brown color. But thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.